Let's revert to the previous system. Let's revert to the 844 so that our students and the rural constituencies can progress. And I think the chair for Education Committee has heard me, and this is very clear. Thank you very much.
Member for Githongori, Gathoni wa Muchomba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to indeed, as a trained teacher, to give my contribution into this motion. It is sad and very sad that we are debating the future of the people God has entrusted unto us, to shape their future, to give them life and hope. Those wonderful children that are going through this system, the CBC. It is unfortunate, Madam Speaker, that in this country, we do not give weight to the Ministry of Planning, whose core business is to plan the economy of this country. In fact, the most lucrative ministries in this country are ministries of health, ministries of agriculture, Ministry of Water and Land, not because we find them worth giving them weight, but because they control a lot of money. We ignore the critical ministries like Ministry of Planning and Finance, the ministry that is supposed to be giving us economic planning, well contributed and well thought, that is supposed to have advised us on the CBC before implementation. Like one of my colleagues have said, Madam Speaker, I still as a teacher do not understand why we had to go the million kilometers rush to implementing CBC. I do not know the people who sat in a certain boardroom and decided that they are going to implement CBC, even against the advisory that was given by the then Cabinet Secretary, Madam Amina. Madam Amina spoke very strongly against CBC implementation without thorough thinking and planning. But I do not know the kind of motivation that was behind the so-called the government of the day, that we had to take a risk to mess a generation in this country by hurriedly implementing a system that has not been framed properly. Madam Speaker, as a mother, it pains me to walk into schools like in my constituency and find 4 learners in a school which is supposed to be a JSS center. 4 learners. How do we employ 4 teachers for 4 learners? How do we put a laboratory for 4 learners? How do we buy equipment in the laboratory for 4 learners? Where are economic planners that are supposed to be advising the governments of the day? What are they doing and why do we pay them a salary in those offices that they sit? Madam Speaker, it is sad that we are politicizing the life of a generation of this country. We must come fresh and real to what we are doing. It is time we asked ourselves whether we are doing justice to the seats that we've been given by the people of Kenya. They have elected us so that we can advocate for the rights of their children. Most of these parents do not have a voice. We have a voice. Most of these teachers we are talking about and joking around here in Parliament, because I can see a joke here, they have no voice. We have a voice. We must stop politicizing CBC and become the parents God has made us to be. We must become the leaders that have been elected honorably to stand in the gap and save a generation. How many children are at home right now because they cannot afford uniform for JSS? How many children are at home right now because they cannot afford a desk? Madam Speaker, shockingly, these are the same children, runners who are in primary school. They had a desk, but just because they have graduated to JSS, they are being forced to buy a fresh and a new desk. For what purpose, Madam Speaker? It is us that God has entrusted us to do it. It is us the whole country is looking upon. It is us who are supposed to advise, and we must stand in the gap and provide a sober direction for JSS. If we cannot be able to implement JSS, we would rather stop it and get back to the drawing board and look for a solution, because we are going to be asked by God, why did you not do what you're supposed to have done? I do not understand the rush. I do not understand the thinking behind GSS if we cannot be able to implement. Madam Speaker, please, I want to be heard. One day, one time, if we ever go to heaven that we read there, we shall be asked a question. I don't know what you will answer as a member of parliament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Irene Mayaka.